Today we are going to be making a Taylor Swift Lover jacket in honor of the Eras concert because I cannot believe it, but I got tickets to go and I'm so excited. Lover is one of my favorite albums, and so I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Full send, cut bangs, dye the tips of my hair. We're doing a whole Taylor Swift transformation for the concert. The first step of that is gonna be making the costume. Basically, we're gonna be taking this lovely white denim jacket. I got it from my grandma and it's super cute. It's just kind of baggy in a not flattering way, but I finally found a good use for it that will make me want to wear it. So we're going to be cropping the jacket and then using the extra fabric to make the fringe along the back and the sleeves. And then we're going to paint Lover in the glitter pink on the back, of course, and maybe do some other pink glittery details. I don't know, we'll see. You know, I love pink and glitter, so let's get to it. Okay, this is the pantsuit. You can see it's very awesome. I was thinking, because it kind of has this like seam right here where the top ends, and also I'm not gonna wear this pink turtleneck. I know it looks dorky, but I am too lazy to change into something else. So I'm thinking I would want it to be kind of aligned with that, which would be basically like right in the middle of this button, but obviously we can't cut the button in half. So if we do it to this length, it's just gonna be like right below this.
So the next step is going to be obviously to chop off the bottom part of your jacket, but as you can see, as I started to get ready to cut off the bottom, I realized this isn't actually a flat surface because of the buttons and the pockets in the jacket, which you really need it to be flat so that you can make a clean cut. So the next step is actually to, if your jacket has pockets, unpick the pockets, which yes, it sounds as painful as it is. And then as you'll see, I'm doing this here. You're gonna use pliers to literally rip the buttons out so that it's flat for when you're cutting it. So you need pliers that can cut through wire or metal basically, and then you're just gonna clamp down around the button really hard until it pops off. And then you should be able to make a nice clean cut across the bottom of your jacket.
Okay, so the jacket is cut. It is a little shorter than I initially wanted, but it's because I forgot, since this jacket has pockets, I kind of had to just cut where the pocket hole was, because otherwise there would have been like a divot in the jacket from the pocket hole. So anyways, that's why it's a little bit shorter, but I think it still looks fine. And this just gives us more fabric to work with for the fringe, and also, like if you look at the back, the fringe won't have to be as long because the jacket's so short. And it'll still look good. So once you've cut your jacket to the desired length, you're gonna wanna hem the bottom about 1/2 inch from the bottom of the jacket, just sew along there. And I went across it twice just to reinforce it. And as you're going through, try really hard not to stretch the denim because that'll kind of make the seam wavy when you're done. So just kind of feed it through as evenly as possible. The next glorious step is to take your scissors and cut a bunch of snippets in the bottom of the hem you just made. So obviously you're not going to want to cross the stitch. Probably be like a pinhead size away from it. But you're going to want to make all these tiny cuts so that when we put it in the wash, it frays even more than it would by itself. So after I was done cutting the mini fringe, I was going to put it in the wash, but then I was like, you know what? I should make the fringe on the rest of it first so that we can put it all in the wash together and it'll get frayed together. So the next step is going to be to unpick all of the panels of the jacket, which the jacket I used had a lot of panels. The one you use may or may not have the same amount, but basically we want to have flat pieces of fabric to work with to cut the fringe. So you're going to want to unpick all the seams, pull out all the extra thread, and if there's a lining inside of it, just kind of get rid of all of that stuff so that you have a bunch of panels that you can use to cut strips from. Okay, so after painstakingly ripping all of these pieces apart so we can make the fringe. This is the pile of thread. It's so much thread, and this isn't even all of it because I threw some of it away already. Insanity. But we did it. So next step is to iron all of this. And now it's time
for Silly Ironing with Andy, the part of the show where Andy comes out and irons a bunch of fabric. Okay, next you are going to measure the back of the jacket, and then you're gonna measure the length of the seams along the sleeves. And the seam on the back and the sleeves should look the same, so you should know exactly what to measure, but then write those measurements down and then measure how long you want the fringe to be on the back of the jacket. And so make sure you write down all these dimensions because you're gonna use them later. So for the length of the fringe, you're gonna wanna use that as you're cutting strips, obviously. And then as far as the width of them, you kind of just want to find the sweet spot, maybe like half an inch. I don't even know how big I did them, but just kind of whatever you feel like looks good, but also not too thin that they're gonna like instantly fall apart. So do with that what you will, but you're basically just gonna cut a million strips. And I ended up doing the ones along the back a little bit longer than the ones along the sleeves, so that's why you'll see two different lengths as I'm cutting here. Woohoo! You're done! You have all of your strips. Nice work. So you can see this is where we're gonna need those dimensions of the back seam and the sleeve seams, because you're gonna cut a long piece of fabric, probably about an inch wide, and you're gonna glue all of your strips to that. So make sure when you're doing it, you're using the right length of the strips if you used different lengths. And basically what you're gonna do is just put your hot glue on there and then lay the strips of fabric down, and then make sure you're only laying them on about half of that piece of fabric, because then when you're done, you're gonna put a line of glue over top of the fringe strips and then push the top of your long skinny piece of fabric on top of that to kind of cover up the edge of the fringe. And then once you're done with that, you're actually gonna glue that piece that has your fringe onto the seam of your jacket. And if you're wondering why we're using glue, it's because it's honestly a really effective method for holding fabric in place. I was a little skeptical for this project, but I really did not want to have to pin all of those in place and sew along them, because that would be very difficult. So I tested this and it withstood going through the laundry and everything. So should be totally usable. Just be careful when you're using hot glue. Obviously, try not to burn your fingers. It's kind of inevitable, but do your best. So if you're anything like me, you're lazy and did not cut all your strips to be the exact same length. So at this point, you're gonna wanna trim them down to your desired length, whether that's all the same, long in the middle, short on the sides, or if you like them all to be different lengths, that's cool too. So once you have them at the desired length, you're gonna glue the back and the sides onto your back seam and sleeve seams. So just put the glue onto the seam and then lay that fringe piece on there. And then when you're connecting the back fringe to the sleeve fringe, make sure to put a little bit of extra glue there and kind of connect those pieces together. And then same thing when you're gluing on next to the cuff of your jacket, you'll want to just really make sure it fits snugly right against the cuff so that it looks almost seamless. And you'll see I kept mine a little bit longer so that I could trim it at the end and make sure that it was exactly the right length. And if you get any big globs of glue, just try your best to smooth them out. And the good thing is you can always scrape that glue off afterwards if it's in an area that you don't like. And then I also decided I wanted to put fringe on the pockets. So if you have extra fabric strips and you want to do that, I just glued them straight onto the bottom of the pocket and then cut them to the length that I wanted them to be. So after your jacket is all clean, you're going to want to iron all the strips because they are going to kind of like curl up, and we want that because it means they're kind of getting fluffier and look a little more distressed, not so cookie cutter, but you also want them to hang down so that you can see that it's a fringe. So just take some time, iron all the strips so that they're not curling up as much and you can see them, and then you can also kind of check the length now that they've frayed a little bit, curled, just kind of make sure they're all still the length that you're wanting and that it's looking how you want it to look. Now here you will see me actually fixing the back of my jacket because some of my strips ripped in half after I washed it because they were too thin. So when you do this, number one, make sure to wash your jacket on delicate, and number two, make sure to cut your strips a little bit thicker than you want the desired thickness to be, because they will fray and look thinner in the end and you don't want them to break off so that you don't have to deal with this. Okay.
So we have finished the fringe. It's looking good. A few setbacks, but we made it. The next step is going to be obviously to paint Lover on the back. And then I have also decided to do the trim pink as well, just for fun. I found this fabric. Hold that up so you can see. It was in the clearance section at Michael's and I was like, it's pink, it's sparkly, and it happens to be fabric paint, so let's try it out. I'm guessing that this is not gonna be like crazy glittery. We're just gonna throw a coat on, see what it looks like, and then go from there. To paint the trim, I just straight up dipped my paintbrush in the painting container. If you want to put it on something, you can, but I just didn't want to get more stuff dirty, so I just used that or the cap. And you'll see I've got my glue gun out again. I did notice after it came out of the wash that there were kind of some gaps in some pieces of the fringe and the jacket, so I just added a little bit of glue to reinforce any areas where I didn't glue it super well the first time. And you can see it is pretty thin, so I did decide to do a couple of coats, and honestly I didn't have to wait for it to entirely dry before I did the next coat. And you'll see I did decide to do the trim of the pockets as well, so obviously it is gonna probably take you multiple days if you do either side, because you've got to wait for one side to dry before you do the other, and it does take a second to dry since you kind of have to lay it on thick. Extra light natural ash blonde. Nice and greasy. Protects your hair from getting burned off completely. Shake it up really well. It's like hamburger style and hot dog style, but on your head. Hair tie, pretty good. 4 sections.
Because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you, my precious.
So, as you can see by my hair, the dye is all in. While I'm waiting for my hair to be done, I'm gonna work on my jacket. So, to trace Lover on the jacket, I had the genius idea to just blow the font up on my laptop and then use that to trace it, which worked surprisingly well. And you'll see I did decide to keep it tilted like how it is on the album cover, because gotta be true to the album cover, even though it would have fit a little better if I had kept it not slanted. Then you'll see I traced it with Sharpie, filled it in with Sharpie, painted it with the glitter. I also mixed in some of the darker glitter so that it came out a little darker. Again, looking more similar to the album cover. And for any of the glitter that got outside of the line, since it was a little chunkier, I just used a toothpick to straighten it out. We finished painting the Lover and it looks so good, but you guys, we had a mishap where it got wet by pure my bad luck. Basically, I found like chocolate or something on this part, and so I used a Tide pen to clean it, but I did it like while it was laying flat with the, like this part was like this. And so then the water touched the back of the jacket and made the Sharpie outline bleed, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I tried to like kind of go over it with a white marker, but it really did not work. So to fix the mishap, we are going to paint white over the pink splotchy part, and as a preemptive measure, paint white all the way around all of the letters. So when you're doing this, paint the white thicker right next to the outline and then kind of feather it out so it blends into the back of the jacket. Then to paint the extra glitter on the rest of the trim, I just used a jam jar lid to mix it because I didn't want to contaminate the whole bottle, just in case I wanted to use it for something else later. But if you don't care about that, you can totally just dump it straight into the bottle and mix it in there. And then you'll just go over all of the old trim if you want it to be darker, and then obviously the new spots on the collar that we're adding it. And as you can see, it goes on way darker with the extra glitter. So if you like the dark look, I would say add the extra glitter from the beginning so that you don't have to do as many coats when you go through and paint the trim the first time. So once I finished painting all the other trims, I decided I wanted to also do the trim of the cuffs. I know, shocking. But you'll see it's a little tricky to paint the cuff of the sleeve because it goes around both sides of the sleeve, obviously. So you could paint the front sides of both sleeve cuffs, let that dry, then paint the back, let that dry, and repeat for however many coats you need. Or you can do what I did and just paint all the way around the cuff at the same time and then use the empty jam jar your lid came from to hold it up while it's drying. Either way works, whatever is easiest for you. Once your fabulous jacket is done, which at this point, my jacket was done, and your hair is blonde, the next step is to cut bangs. So I went to my handy dandy cousin Molly, who did a fabulous job giving me bangs and layers. Her Instagram is linked in the description, and you should definitely check her out. Once my bangs were cut, the next step was to add the pink into the tips of my hair. So I used Splat. I know it's a horrible dye for your hair, but it was the color I needed at the price that was right. So I had my sister help me, and I hope you enjoy my lovely garbage bag shirt. I didn't have any shirts that I was okay getting pink dye on, so trash bag always works. Once my hair was done, I flew to Austin, did a face mask, and then me and the girls drove to Dallas for the concert. We made a pit stop at Buc-ee's. You have to do that if you're in Texas. And then we drove, it was like 3 hours or something until we got there. Once we got to Dallas, we dropped our stuff at the hotel, got ready to go, and then it was time for the concert. And if you're wondering how I did the pink glittery heart on my face, yes, I did use the glitter fabric paint. Oh, there's a car. Shelby, are you excited?
Hi, my name is Shelby. I'm walking in the parking lot on my way to some kind of event.
Oh my stars. Give us a smile, ladies.
Here's a porta potty right here.
Stop it. Stop.
And on your right, you will see another porta potty. There's literally.
Oh wow. Lots of porta potties. We're so excited! This is where we sat. Cue the screams. I was just a little excited. And wow, the concert was amazing. It went by way too fast. Taylor Swift is amazing. I don't know how she does it, but if you guys can get yourself to a concert, you need to go because it's so awesome. And the outfit held up for the whole concert. It was great. My feet did hurt a little bit by the end from my shoes, obviously, but it was awesome. Wish I could go again. And I hope all of you get to go and create your own fabulous outfit when you do. Also, these videos are so sad because we just did not want to leave after the concert was over so that the moment would last longer, and then a security guard was like, you guys need to leave. I don't want to watch that. Clone Wars? Or no? No? No. What do you want to watch then? Oh, I've never seen that cover for Mockingjay Part 2. Dance 100? It's a dance competition.
No.
What about... I don't really think there's anything new on Disney Plus. We watched Friends.
Oh yeah, shoot.
Okay.